I'm going to show you that even the pros do not try and keep a square club face. When we create a swing that is trying to keep everything straight, what starts to happen is swings start to look a little bit like we're steering. We're trying to steer everything through. But some of this stems from not enough rotation in the arms, meaning that we're not rotating this way enough. That causes all sorts of problems, because if we're trying to keep the face square here, we end up trying to manipulate too much this way, and as we're coming back down, it creates too much manipulation again. We're holding on to the forces, we're trying to steer everything through. But before we get onto the grip mistake, I want you to just do something for me. Stand up, and I want you to just let your arms hang, okay? Let your arms hang very naturally from your shoulders here. And I want you to just move your arms without moving any body pivot. I want you to move your arms back, sort of in a backswing, okay? We're just moving the arms that way. I want you to notice what happened to the wrists, what happened to the arms. I wager that as you just made this movement back, without thinking about it too much, your forearms rotated. See that? Just by moving this back, the forearms will rotate. But if we try and keep the club face square going back, and then we're trying to manipulate to create that sort of extra shallow down here, what ends up happening is this club face is way open. To compensate, because we are aware of that, we'll end up trying to square it back up with our body, because we're too afraid to do it with our wrists and arms. Okay, so we're trying to steer and square up that club face because we know it's way open. And what tends to happen is that's where we get the across the line shot, and also not much power because we're sort of pushing everything through. But a more natural movement is allowing rotation and rotation back. If you were to just let this club move backwards and forwards very naturally, not trying to manipulate anything, your forearms, your wrists, and the club face would open and they would close. It's a much easier way to strike the golf ball with power and consistency, because you're not trying to manipulate, you're not trying to steer. Manipulating and steering is pretty much one of the worst things you can do for a free-flowing, consistent golf game. We don't play any other sports like it, so why are we trying to do golf in the same way? What I have here is the HackMotion Wrist Analyzer, and it's going to enable me to show you exactly what I mean as far as the rotation, the extension of the wrists, but to compare to what the best players in the world do may surprise you. So I'm going to select a benchmark, and there are several to choose from. We've got long game, we've got short game. Let's look at just a general basic pattern that we have here. All right, we have a 7-iron, all right? And what this is going to give us is the motions of the flexion and extension, which is this, and the ulnar radial deviation, and also what I'm mainly talking about is the rotation. And in this example, you'll see just how much they rotate compared to what you're probably doing. What I'm going to show you is that just using your body and trying to keep the club face square in that sense, with no wrist movement or no rotation, is nothing like what the best players in the world do. Okay? So just comparing to this one, we can see that if we just look at the rotation, I have a lot less rotation as we're getting through impact, meaning that my club face is always going to be open unless I rotate hard around it, okay? Now, the other lines were fairly similar, but we had too much flexion and extension, meaning that I had to try and rescue it by flipping through it. Again, that's because I am aware that the club face is open. But the way most of you are trying to sort of square up that club face is all wrong. It's losing you power, it's losing you consistency, and it's just much harder to do. So if we take another option where the only thing I'm really thinking about is, like we worked on that little drill, feeling that my forearms are rotating a little bit, allowing them to rotate, almost feeling like my palm is facing up with my trail hand. Because what that's going to do is going to be easier to deliver back at a solid impact. So I'm going to open and close. This was a little bit closer to the margins that we want. It had a little bit more zip, a little bit more oomph. And it didn't quite match because I didn't have the same amount of speed in that demonstration, but it's pretty close. Now, let's see what a strong grip does. What I want to show you is, if we have a strong grip here, as I'm trying to take the club back, okay, if I keep rotating, oh, I've actually got nowhere else to go. If I keep rotating, that club face gets sort of very open, okay, gets really open this way, and then I've got to try and square it back up with the body. But I can't easily rotate the forearms back because they've got nowhere to go. Meaning, with a strong grip, we're already in this position, and it's very difficult at speed to sort of square that back up with the wrist, which is what most instruction tells you to do. So we're sort of keeping it open, not allowing that rotation, and now adding on that sort of flattening, that bowing of the wrist, bringing it back down. It's a very athletic move and it's quite difficult to do. The easier way is to have less strength in the grip, less rotation at setup, okay? So we are here. Now, as we make a swing back, we allow some rotation. We allow some rotation to open up that club face. Don't be afraid of it, because it's so easy to allow that returning back to impact, because that's where we want to deliver the club with authority. But if I had a strong grip here, that club face would be way open. So here's what you can do to experiment. I want you to take a setup and I want you to just let your lead arm hang down, okay? We're gonna internally rotate the upper arm a little bit, but I want you to externally rotate the forearm here. So you're going to feel a lot more of the back of the hand towards the target rather than sort of facing up this way. So I want us to set up with what you might call a weaker grip, okay? We're just allowing the arms to sit naturally, much more naturally, that when we make our backswing, we allow some rotation and then we deliver it back, rotating it back with speed. This is a very fast move, but we're doing it from a neutral position. Whereas here we're not neutral. There's already lots of manipulation. So with if you like a weaker grip, we can rotate back and rotate through and deliver the club with a lot more speed getting through the shot. And that's just a small little arm movement that's here to here. And it's a perfect way to sort of practice actually, because you can deliver a lot of speed when we're rotating properly the forearms, delivering it back down, and we're just rehearsing this movement. And I'm doing tiny little movements here to show you just how effective it can be. And the hack motion is a wonderful device to start comparing yourself to kind of where you want to be, to get that speed, to get that power. There's so many features on this thing, but that's just scratching the surface. That's it. What I want you to do is go and experiment your setups with the stronger grip, with more external rotation, and to trust that your forearms and delivering the club back down in this manner, here to here, is much easier, more repeatable, and it's going to deliver more power. And in actuality, it's much more like what the best players in the world are doing. So it's about perception as well. Give it a try, let me know how you get on, and stop trying to keep that club face square. If you enjoyed that, check out this lesson, because it's going to show you how the wrist can give you that much more speed without even really trying.